Cyrus the Great lived 2,500 years ago, and I'm willing to bet you he has no idea what information security is. But we can learn a thing or two from him about information security governance and risk management. In today's information age, everything we do, they will all boil down to information. For example, do you think banks are really concerned about the physical paper bills in their branches? Or are they more concerned about their databases containing these millions of dollars and pesos of transactions? Or educational institutions, do you think their concern is really printing out that diploma or that database which contains how many units of which student got in what year? So in today's information age, information security governance is important. Governance is trying to orchestrate and harmonize and rally your people, processes, technology. And risk management is not really about avoiding risks, but having a scientific approach to the threats which are beyond your control and to the vulnerabilities which is within your control. So, Cyrus the Great, before he came along, he lived 2,500 years ago, people could not be controlled by such a large group of people or such vast territories could not be controlled by one person. Before his time, nobody controlled or ruled or conquered such vast nations. How did he do it? He was a unifier. And that's what we're going to learn from him. When he conquered a nation or a civilization, he did not do the traditional sense of conquering, like choking down the throats of the subjects and telling them, oh, you're now mine. You're now part of my empire. What Cyrus did is that he tells everyone, hey, come, please unite with this great new empire, this rich, prosperous empire. Cyrus the Great was even mentioned in the Bible for the person who freed the Jews and sent them back to their homeland. But so how he did this by trying to make people feel that we are united with you. You're not conquering me. You're not imposing your rules or laws or controls or safeguards over me. I'm actually a part of this bigger, better monster now, which is the empire. Most of us try to do our own Cyruses when we protect the information in our organizations. We try to control our risks using safeguards. We implement a ton of policies and then buy the most expensive technology tools, intrusion detection systems, firewalls, etc. And we think we're good. But that's just one part of it. Because having safeguards, having controls, is just having a safety net. But that doesn't prevent people from going off balance or falling in the first place. So, well, the Cyrus is good, but it's not that great. So perhaps this afternoon, we will learn a few tidbits, three tidbits on how to really have a perspective on how to govern and manage information security. First, it's not good that you just rely on safeguards like the Cyrus this Cyrus. It's not good that you just rely on just controls and safeguards, because having safeguards is not risk management. Risk management is really being aware of what you're charging into. It's not avoiding risks. Part of it is avoiding risks. But think about this. If you want 100% risk-free organization, then close your doors, don't go to work tomorrow. Each day that you are doing business is a day that you are welcoming, entertaining, inviting risks, inviting attackers. So having safeguards is just part of it. It's not really risk management. Having safeguards is not governance. Governance is orchestrating the things that you can control, your strengths and weaknesses. And it's just not having something as a fallback option. So the first tidbit that we will learn is that in trying to govern in this information age, it is not about your interests. We are all leaders here. We have our vision, we have our plans. But it's not always about our vision and our plans, because we should be sensitive to the interests of the stakeholders in our organization. So, remember, as IT or information security practitioners, the organization is not really interested about your goal. The founders of your company did not say, oh, I will build this company and my goal is to have the most secure company in the world. Most companies exist for profit. Some for objectives such as I belong to a hospital and an educational institution. They cater to patients and the educational institution cater to students. But they are not about, their ultimate objective is not about keeping a very risk-free, a very secured environment. So your goal in trying to protect information security is not really aligned or automatically aligned with the goal of the organization. So, how do you solve this apparent clash? You have your own goal, but the organization has its own goals. Every department in the organization, HR, finance, legal, they have their own goals. So you make your stars, your stakeholders, your key players, you make them shine. You tap them, you tap their strengths, you leverage on what they can contribute, and then you align them. If your HR has a very good training department, then use that training department to contribute to your information security goals. And if you don't have enough budget, then align the stakeholders, align their interests, leverage on what they can provide. And as a Chief Information Security Officer, I always preach that information security is everyone's job. I always say that. But deep down, I know that the buck stops with me. So, there's an I in CISO. So, when I always preach, day in, day out, hey, it's everybody's job. It's not just my job. It's not just my team's job. But deep down, I know it has to stop with me. Someone has to call the shots. So, the first tidbit that I would like to impart is that your interest is not really about keeping information secure. It's to unite and align the interests of those around you. Second, you are not alone in your journey. You have an ace up your sleeve. What's that ace? First, you can activate your people. In the two organizations that I'm involved with, a hospital and a university, I appointed champions for the hospital and focal persons for the university. So the idea is, each unit can champion information security initiatives on their own. Why do I need champions? Why do I activate them? Because if I'm just barking policies and rules at the top and they do not know how to translate it or localize it in their day-to-day work, then I'm just telling them vague concepts. So I activate the people who are actually involved. And then you cultivate awareness, knowledge, vigilance through education programs. That's the easiest part. But the harder thing to do is to really entrench it. What do I mean? People have to feel that they are responsible. They are the owner of what they're doing. That what information security is actually part of their job description, because it actually, at the end of the day, enriches what they do. They do things confidently, securely, if they are secure. There's a common denominator in the ace up your sleeve. I'm talking about people. So when we talk about information security, we ought always think about, perhaps it's IT systems and platform solutions. Well, first up, information can be stored either electronically or in paper-based documents. Second, well, you've heard this a ton of times, human error is the number one cause of breaches. But in reality, when you go out there, you don't talk to machines or computers or networks. It's people who operate this, who conduct the processes. So the ace up your sleeve are not really the tools, not the safeguards, but the people. Second tidbit. So the second tidbit boils down to having people united with the way you govern. Third lesson, you provide support, but you balance it right. What do I mean by right? First, risk management is not about shunning away from risks. You can either avoid risks, mitigate it, transfer it, share it, or even accept it. Grab, the taxi company, take the route of accepting risks. Traditionally, you would tell them, oh, you're crazy. Organizations are very risk-averse. Why would you go headstrong, head-on, challenge a risk? What's the story? Here in the Philippines, when Grab and Uber first started, the Land Transportation Office or the government tried to go after them. The government was telling Grab and Uber, hey, you're a taxi company. So we have rules for taxis. You pay these taxes, you give benefits to your drivers, you register here and there, you can only operate here and there, etc. So it's a big risk because the government was trying to pull them, hey, stop, you're a taxi company. And then they're trying to argue, no, we're not, how can we do it? How can we provide benefits to our drivers? They're not our employees. Grab drivers are not employees of the company. And how can they manage? I'm sure they haven't seen face-to-face these people who sign up to be a driver. So, but what they did, they calculated it and took a healthy risk. What happened? It's the government who backed down. The government relented. The government created a special category called TNVS for Grab and Uber. Well, it's just Grab right now. So they took the risk, accepted it. They didn't try to make some mitigation or avoidance magic. They took it, then it's good. So risk management is the scientific approach to risk, not really being afraid of risk. Second, if you have a 5-year plan, as the leader of the organization, this is my 5-year plan. In information security, this is what I want to happen in 5 years. You should be flexible because even your plans are at risk. 5 years ago, AI is something that artificial intelligence is something you just see in movies. 5 years ago, nobody knew what this blockchain or TikTok things are. So if you have a strategic 5-year plan for the organization, printed in a smooth paper, presented to the president and signed by the CEO, you should be aware that even your plans may crumble on the next shift of the landscape. Lastly, letter T, in balancing it right, time is aggressively trying to outdate you. Every day, there's a new technology, new form of attack vectors, a new form of threat, or you will discover a vulnerability as you grow as an organization. So you should be aware, like I said, it's awareness. Awareness of where you are right now and how to scientifically approach your threats and your vulnerabilities. So how do you do this? As a leader, and trying to secure information, you try not just to block or be as secure as you can. You try to be a door. A door closes when it needs to be and opens when needed. Because, think about this. If I am just thinking about the information security of my organization, I will be just very strict. I would impose a password which is, I don't know, 30 characters long. And then the screen of the device will black out every 10 minutes. Like I said, one of the organizations that I work with is a hospital. Just imagine if there is an emergency, and then the healthcare provider rushes to a computer terminal and has to type a very, very long, confusing alphanumeric password with two-factor authentication because the screen blacks out every 10 minutes. People's lives will be at risk. So you know when to open or close the door. That's balancing it. Balancing protection with productivity. Second, have you heard of a flying buttress? Well, you just heard it. I just said it. So back in the day, buildings, when they erect very tall walls to support the integrity of that wall so that it doesn't fall off. Because right now, our walls have steel inside them, right? Our walls right now are stronger. Trivia. If our walls right now are stronger because they're reinforced with steel, then why do buildings grow old, but the pyramids of Giza are still up? The Colosseum is up. Because steel, although it's strong for a short time, will corrode. So, back in the day, they had flying buttresses to support walls. And as support to your organization, that's your job. Allow them to be as tall a wall, as strong a wall, as high a wall that they can be, because you are there supporting them. Either for the short term or the long term, there is no correct answer. It depends on your organizational goals. Lastly, you should be a highway. Information security is about the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information. People think it's all about confidentiality. But what good is data if your employees or your processes cannot use it timely enough to beat the competition or to be productive enough or to have the next innovation? So, but when I say you should be a highway, you shouldn't allow everyone in right away. What do highways have? One, it allows you to be reasonably fast to get you to the destination quickly, but at proper points, it has signages, it has warnings, it has traffic lights to stop you. So, the point of all these is that when you support not with supporting in mind, but enablement, enabling in mind. You are there to enable those around you. That's a proper support, not a self-centric view of supporting. Because when you're already a leader, your field of view shouldn't be restricted to your department only. I also serve as head of legal, but my field of view is not just to win cases for my ego. Sometimes, I can take a bargain. Okay, we'll pay you off. That may damage my ego as a lawyer, but that's better for the organization. Quicker, faster painless. So, you should unite with the organization's forward motion. So let's go back to Cyrus the Great. Remember, we all have this knee-jerk reaction that to protect the information of our organizations in this information age, we should have tons of safeguards. But safeguards is just one part of the picture. Cyrus was a unifier. Unite with your people by activating them. Unite with your processes by being a door, a buttress, a highway to them. And perhaps having a brother Cyrus will make us greater. You should correspond to your requirements by uniting stakeholders, safeguards, and solutions. First, you know your requirements. You are aware, like the science of risk management. You correspond to what you need, what you want. If you have an orphan computer, do you really need an antivirus with a computer which never gets connected to the internet or never receives a USB flash drive? What are the requirements? You correspond to that. And then, you unite like Cyrus. Not just safeguards, but stakeholders, solutions, and everything that needs to be harmonized. Thank you.